Good morning. Well, whatever time it is you're getting this, welcome. Busted Pencils Fully Leaded Education Talk. Educated educators talking education. Me, Dr. Tim Slekar, Jacob, chairman of the board.
Tim, I think there's a
Eh,
problem. We might need to start over. Is Johnny here yet?
Johnny is not here for this homeroom. Johnny is, I understand that he is officially excused from homeroom today.
Whoa.
Um, his daughter requested that he be able to have a birthday celebration with her, and so I decided, you know what? Okay, this one time and this one time only. I told her though, if she has more birthdays coming up, we're gonna need at least a month in advance notice.
That's tough. I'm sorry you got birthdays, but we only had time for one,
Hey,
unfortunately.
it's homeroom, and we got to do all this, Jacob. We're always, talking education, and we're thinking about homeroom, and it made me a little bit nostalgic.
Oh,
Thinking about, yeah, the whole idea of homeroom. What is the experience of homeroom? Does homeroom even make sense anymore? Because I have a really vivid, concrete memory of homeroom, what it meant, what it was like, what we did, and it kinda dawned on me, "Gee, well, that was last century," you know?
yes.
And I mean, who knows? Maybe, people are going, what the heck is that even you're talking about, Tim?" I thought so, maybe I'll do a little reminiscing about what homeroom was back in the 1980s, Jacob. That the decade of decadence, as people refer to it, or
Well,
as
that's
some people,
fitting, isn't it, for a decade to be of decadence?
decade of decadence, the
Yeah.
80s. The greed was good. Men had really big hair. Um, and the hair metal was wasn't I didn't really like it that much, and but it was the 80s, and so I, kind of just did what I did. But I was thinking about, homeroom in the 80s, and the whole idea of what does it mean to, go to school. And I think we're largely talking about middle schoolers and high schoolers, and remembering that in the homeroom and stuff like that. Because
Yeah.
if we're talking about elementary school, it was kind of like, hey, you show up and you're in first grade, you go to first grade, you meet your teacher. You go to, when I was a fifth grade teacher, my students came in. We didn't have homeroom. They just came in, and I gave out Kleenex, I gave out fluoride, I took the lunch count, and then, we got to work, man, because it was elementary school. But in high school, when I was in high school, homeroom, man, it was like this kind of a cool place where it was like a little holding tank to get, us ready to begin the day. You showed up, you went to your locker, you twisted fully one way to the right, halfway to the left, and another full twist again to the right, and then pulled down on that combination lock, and boom, you opened up that locker, and man, there was a whole life inside that locker.
Yes.
You could identify people, who they were, what they thought about, what they valued, all those things when you walk past the locker. And I said, kind of made a reference to, the passing of Lonnie Anderson, WKRP in Cincinnati fame. At the time, a lot of my male friends, seeing a Lonnie Anderson poster in their locker, that was, that's what it was. And some of the, and this sounds very gender specific, very kind of, very hetero normative sexual type of things. The girls had, like David Cassidy posters. So even though he was kind of coming out of the late 70s, or
Well, for the
at
sake
that
of
time.
fairness, Tim, I also had a David Cassidy poster
Okay,
in my
good. Thank
locker,
you.
so
Good,
we're
Jacob.
not
You know,
we're not
Miami,
backing or being against anything here.
Don Johnson for Miami Vice was, big in the girls' lockers. But then you went into homeroom and you kind of you sat down, you talked, you had a homeroom teacher, which again was really just somebody sitting there making sure that, we didn't kill each other.
Yeah.
But we got to talk, like, "What are we doing? Hey, how are you doing? Where are you going? Oh, man, after first period, meet me in the bathroom. We'll hang out. We'll talk for the 3 minutes, and then we'll go to our next class later. Hey, did you talk to so and so last night? Hey," it was just a kinda like a socialization gathering place to get ready and begin for me, we had 8, like, 45-minute periods ahead of us that day.
Mhm.
And so, I it was a social event, of homeroom, and I don't know, I just like, I liked it, I appreciated it, I look back at that now with really fond memories, and I thought, "I wonder what Jacob remembers."
Well,
About homeroom, because you didn't have homeroom in the '80s.
I did not. I was doing all sorts of other stuff in the 80s. Uh, but I'm wondering, Tim, because people who are from different states or different school districts, or maybe people
Right.
who are Finnish, or people who might be young or too young to have a homeroom, can you explain? I mean, at its core, what is a homeroom?
Yeah. You know what? It's a
Because I had
holding.
one. I do know. Go ahead.
Okay, good. I mean, it was a holding tank for a group. So senior year, I graduated with 120 students, right? So 120 seniors had to have a place to go when they came to school, got into their locker, and got ready to start the day. And homeroom, so you take those 120 plus kids and you say we can fit 25 to 30 of them in a room. You break them up and then you get told, "Hey, you're in room 157 with Mr. Santori for homeroom." Okay. And those were the people that you kind of spent the entire year with every morning before you started your day. I mean, it was an organization system. It was filing system, a
Sure.
kind of, I mean, and was there socially thought out mechanisms for why this is a good thing? How does it work with adolescents? I'm sure there were, but I now look at it though as going, it was a good thing because people could, get moving in a direction that wasn't so like boom, got to get on the bell, got to get right to work. There was an ease into the day, and socialization as an adolescent mattered. It did matter. And so is that the answer you were looking for there, chairman of the board, Jacob?
Yes, that was a great answer, Tim.
Okay, thanks. Just
So I'm a decade away from my freshman year of high school experience.
okay.
You and I basically the same age.
Right, right.
But I remember that, and I'm not sure if it was called homeroom, but this
Okay.
thing you're explaining is exactly something that I had in high school. But the weird thing is that it wasn't the first class of the day, it was second.
Huh.
And that doesn't make sense to me, Tim,
Yeah.
because I remember this class we had where it's basically there's no instruction and it's not study hall because that was a different thing. So this must be
Right.
homeroom. It must be homeroom. But it was the second class of the day. I had English lit first, and then we went over to this homeroom thing. That
Ah.
doesn't make sense.
No, and see, I'm glad we're having this conversation because I think Johnny and I put together the concept of Monday homeroom really based on a sense of going, it's the start.
Yeah.
You start with homeroom, and I'm hearing from you, Jacob, well, not in Jacob's world, we didn't.
It did not make any sense. Because Tim, for me, what homeroom was, it was a little bit of socializing. It was a little bit of looking 4 rows away at a girl and thinking, "Boy, I wish I could talk to her. That'd be
Yeah,
cool."
yeah, yeah.
But it was also a lot of sleeping behind my backpack. Is what
Okay.
homeroom devolved into for me, and for 7 other people I could see. It was a lot of catching up on that sleep that we didn't get. And now, why would they do that after I struggled through English class? Or how about we just move, give me another hour before school starts? I didn't understand that part, but it seemed like it would have made a lot more sense if that was like a staging ground to get
Right.
you ready. Okay, you're back in school. Hey, the day's starting. Let's get going and then go to classes.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so you're saying there was some wisdom in the '80s
There was a
then.
lot of wisdom in the 80s. It was the hair was everywhere. It was in the metal, it was
Right.
on heads, and it made a lot more sense than what was happening in the 2010s when I was in high school.
Oh, man, so we're putting this out there, so if you're listening to this show and, homeroom has, any type of well, first of all, if you remember it the way I did, hey, we wanna know, again, here, I'll put out the number 608-557-8577. Drop us a voicemail and let us know because you know what? A little, remembering of homerooms, whoever you were, whatever age you were, would be great now to have a comparison because Jacob, here it is. And this is, I didn't know what your homeroom experience was like. And here we go. And I got to say, I agree with you. I don't understand the concept of homeroom after period one.
It made no sense. I'm looking back on it, and it was weird at the time, but with hindsight, it's even more weird because it's like if we came in here and did class in session on Mondays and then homeroom on Tuesday.
Right.
What? That would not make sense. I'm going to take
Right.
a homework assignment from this, by the way, because my little brother Jackson is starting high school in two
Okay.
weeks. So
All right.
I'm gonna make sure to ask him questions to see what is a high school these days, and I'll come back with
Yeah.
that information. Does he have a homeroom? I have no idea.
Well, that's it. I will now, you know what? And but as they used to say back in the day, inquiring minds want to know,
They do. They do.
and that was a really bad tabloid newspaper of the day, the National Enquirer, and
Yes.
that was their tagline: "Inquiring minds want to know." Well, busted pencils hosts and producers want to know. What is this homeroom that we have out there? Can we have a better understanding of it? Like I said, very fond memories, and this is the other thing. Even if yours was first of the day, like mine was, or whatever, I'm gonna bet that there are people out there who are going like, I hated homeroom.
Really.
I gotta imagine there are some people who just were like, like I didn't like talking to people, I wanted to get going with the day. It always made me feel awkward. I was always kind of sitting in the back by myself. Um,
And I can
yeah,
imagine whatever the first thing of the day is, there's a bias against that thing because you're just starting your day and it's not easy. So if homeroom is the sacrifice to the first class of the day, I can see those negative memories existing.
yeah. Like, why do we even need this? Because I could, well, Jacob, from your point of view, it's like, hey, we could start school a whole 20. Because here's the other thing, homeroom for us wasn't a like 45-minute period. It was essentially like 10 to 20 minutes at max.
Gotcha.
So, there could be this, hey, we could have started school 20 minutes later. I don't know if that would have been the difference of better sleep or not, 20 minutes.
That's what I needed, Tim.
Okay, yeah,
I need it
maybe
right
it
now,
was.
actually.
Uh, well, and here we are, Jacob. It's homeroom. Hey, loving this whole idea of homeroom. I'm glad I brought this up and thought about this because we just were going on and on week after week with a homeroom, and I was kind of coming from the assumption, well, everybody knows what homeroom is. It's the very first start of the day. It's the very beginning, and there you are, Jacob, going, well, not in Jacob's world, it wasn't.
It never made sense to me until now why the show's called that. So I'm glad we got this out in the air so I could understand.
Well, and with that too, hey, And if any of you had homeroom at the end of the day, we really wanna know about that because, whoa, I would love to hear about
That's
that. Yeah,
Canadian.
just gonna put out the number 608-557-8577. Seriously, we tell us about your homeroom experience because we gotta dig deeper into this now, Jacob. We may have just opened up a whole classes in session
Oh,
regarding what is the purpose of homeroom? Why was it 20 minutes in the 80s, and why was it second period for Jacob last year? Or wait, oh,
last year,
last
I'm
decade.
not 16.
I'm just
All right, I'm a
kidding, but
young buck, Tim, but I'm not 16.
yeah, yeah, you are. Well, hey, Jacob, loved having homeroom with you. Love meeting you every, beginning of the week. But you know what? Now it's time for your moment of zen. There are people everywhere who want to see a different kind of world, who want to be at one with their fellow men and women, who think that people in other countries are human beings as we are, and that if somebody is suffering anywhere in the world, we all have a responsibility to help them. Hey, thanks for joining us. Hopefully, first thing you did this week was homeroom busted pencils. Make sure you tune in on Wednesday or download everything. Classes in session Friday. Jacob's choice chairman of the board. One of the most exciting drops that we do all week. And yes, every Saturday across all the Civic Media Network stations, downloads, 1 full hour at 3 p.m. Central Time of busted pencils, digging deep. And hey, check us out. Go to Civic Media, look at the website and bustedpencils.com. Pay a visit over there. There's all kinds of other exciting things. And as Johnny always says, keep busting pencils.